But according to me, it's gonna pan out really fucking well, so I guess
Welcome to the Pre-Snap Podcast with your boys, Duney, and Whitehall. Pre-Snap Podcast.
and started. Welcome to the podcast. I am Dunny,
And I am Whitehall.
and we are without Worm today, but he'll be joining us tomorrow. So we're gonna catch him up to speed. We're gonna go over our playoff predictions, and he'll be there for that. So well, let's go ahead and get started. ACC. We're only doing top 5.
Yeah, I tell you what, if I guess it was kind of my idea to only do top 5 for the ACC and BIG12. No disrespect to these conferences, um, but it kind of seemed to me it would have been a waste of time to go through 10 of them. Um, I started out when I was looking up the ACC. I was feeling good, man, and I was like, "Dang!" I was like, maybe I made the wrong decision to only do 5 teams because I was like, there's just a lot of good candidates." And then the more I dug, dude, after number 3, I was literally just trying to find somebody to fill in number 4 and 5. I was just like, I don't like any of these teams outside the top 3, so yeah, it was fun though. I enjoyed doing my research, but yeah, I think the top 5 was the right pick for these 2 conferences.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. Now I will say I want to give an honorable mention. They didn't make the cut, but I want to go ahead and call it Cal.
Yeah.
Hey, watch out.
Yeah, Cal yeah, go ahead.
That quarterback dude, I'm not even gonna try to pronounce his name. True freshman last year,
Yeah.
darts, man,
Mhm.
darts. I got him going 9-3, and that's the to me that's their ceiling.
Okay.
But
Again, I didn't do win losses again. I'm staying consistent with how I did the SEC and Big 10, but
okay, okay,
just from the brief, I'd say that seems like that's doable for this Cal team. They have potential. I think they're another one of those teams with a super high ceiling and a super low floor.
yeah,
You're not sure how it's gonna look because it is Cal, but if they put it together, they could be dangerous.
dude. Do you remember? I feel like me and you were watching his first game. And it was like came on at like 11 p.m., one of those late night West Coast games,
Mhm.
and he was just tearing it up. I feel like you texted me like, "Yo, who is this guy?" I was
I
like, "I
mean,
had no idea," but he
yeah.
was slanging it.
Yeah, he'll be fun to watch again this year. I'm excited. That's if that's your honorable mention,
Mhm.
I'll give an honorable mention of a team that didn't make my list, but I want to shout them out. And to be honest, a lot of people are very high on this team, and I thought that they were gonna be like one of the ones that I thought, hey, watch out, dark horse playoff team. But it's NC State.
Yeah.
They didn't make my top 5, man, and I tell you what, if if they had 0 transfers, like, leave the school, I mean, just to be funny, like, but they honestly might have been, like, my national championship pick. Like, their team would have been stacked, dude. I mean, they added some really good pieces, but they just for me, the problem with NC State was they lost so much, man. They lost a 5-star offensive tackle. They lost 2 4-star safeties. They lost 2 4-star wide receivers, one which, of course, is Noah Rogers coming to Bama. Another is Terrell Anderson going to USC. And then, of course, they lost a 4-star running back in Hollywood Smothers going to Texas. So, um, if they could have kept those pieces along with the additions they made, um, dude, yeah, I probably might be picking them to win the ACC and have a freaking home playoff game. Um, but due to all that, I just think that's too much to lose to recover from. So they didn't make my top 5, but they were, I guess you could maybe put them 6. They were kind of my honorable mention.
Okay. Alright, well, I'll go ahead and start it out. Number 5, I don't wanna say this. I really did. I really don't. Miami. But
Oh,
listen,
okay. That is a take. I'm listening. I'm all ears.
all right, I got them 8-1. I got 5 teams in the ACC all 8-1 because I was looking at their schedules, dude.
That yeah, that's
Like I
actually
told you
fair.
last night, Miami, who is it? Miami and Louisville, they don't play each other. Miami, NC State don't play each other. It's like they found a cheat to the game, and they're getting as much of their top dogs as they can in the playoffs. Now,
Yeah. So go ahead. Go ahead.
the quarterback, Darian Minshew, dog,
Dog.
dude, almost 4,000 yards last year for Duke, won the ACC championship.
Mhm.
You got both
Mhm.
coordinators coming back. Like, I got them at 8-1 SEC. I got them losing to Clemson only
Oh,
because it's at Clemson, and if I didn't give them that loss, then they might be going undefeated.
okay.
I was like, "I don't know how I feel about them going undefeated." I mean, they play at Notre Dame, so
Yeah. Well,
I don't know, but that's my number 5, man. I don't feel good about it.
yeah, I don't think you should, but hey, you know what? That's what makes this fun, man, is nobody knows who these teams are gonna be. And if anything, I appreciate going against the grain because I think everybody's just kind of assuming Miami's gonna win this conference. And, they very well may, but as we're gonna mention here in a little bit, there's a lot of other good teams in this conference as well. So not
Yeah.
definitely not where I had them, but hey, you know what? I respect it. My number 5 team, and again, my top 3 I feel really good about. Like, I feel like the top 3, you know, I'm not gonna say that I don't know how many playoff teams the ACC is gonna have. It may just be 1, but there may be 2. I doubt there'll be 3, but I do feel good about my top 3. The bottom number 4 and number 5, I was kinda grasping for straws, and the straw that I grabbed at number 5 was Clemson, which, again, some people probably think, "What do you mean you were grasping for a straw to put Clemson in your top 5?" The thing is, dude, is like when you look at what they've done, they only had one four-star transfer come in, and it was actually a running back from SMU, Chris Johnson. But they didn't add the rest of their additions were all 3 stars, which I'm not saying you can't win with 3 stars because you definitely can, but for a team like Clemson, that felt like a loss, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But then speaking of lost, they lost a four-star running back. So they brought in a four-star, but they also lost a four-star running back. They lost a four-star linebacker. They lost a four-star safety. And then their quarterback, Christopher Vizina. So he's never been a starter.
Yep.
He's a redshirt junior. He's been at Clemson all 3 years, which is something I do like. I like that he's been in the system, knows everybody. That's cool. But there was nothing that screamed, "This is gonna be a legit team this year," like, at least just from the research that I did. Um, Again, like, they weren't that great last year. I can't I don't think I took a note of how many starters they have returning, but it wasn't very much. So, yeah, just all in all, I felt like Clemson f for them being Clemson, it was a letdown of an offseason as far as acquisitions go and player retention goes, and it's just making me question Dabo Sweeney and how things are going over there. I love Dabo Sweeney as a coach, but it was strictly out of respect for him and the program that he's built, which is why they're at number 5.
Okay. Well, Imma go next with my number 4, Clemson. Now,
Yep.
oddly enough, I have them with a worse record than Miami, but also 8-1 in the SEC or the
Eh.
ACC.
Yeah.
Now, what I got, I also wrote down Christopher Vizina. I'm guessing that's how you say it. Like you
Yeah.
said, he's a redshirt junior, maybe senior.
And he's a junior, yeah.
To me, this is like, all right, Dabo, now is the time to save yourself from the 26-14 record since 2023. You got this guy, he's
So
been in your system. This is almost a direct reflection of your coaching. How is this guy gonna do this year? He brought in Chad Morris as offense coordinator. He was there with Clemson from 2011, 2014. Tom Allen, defense coordinators at Penn State in 2024. Now, here's something I didn't know. Clemson last year, 120th defense against the pass.
wow,
Dude,
that's that sounds like Alabama's run game. That's bad.
rough, dude. And I mean, they got a rough start to the season at LSU game one.
Mhm.
And then a few weeks later, they traveled to Cal, coast to coast.
Well, that was something again, I don't I try not to. I mean, I definitely look at the schedule and, we're kind of projecting where these teams are going to end up at the end of the year as far as where they're at in their conference. So schedule obviously matters. I tr- for me personally, I try not to weigh that too much into account. But you're
Mhm.
right with Clemson. I did look at their schedule and I was just like, oh, I saw 4 to 5 losses on their
Yeah.
schedule, and I was just like, I don't you can't convince me that Clemson's gonna be a top, fighting for the ACC.
Yeah. I don't, oh man, I don't really see it either. I feel like doing them a favor by putting them at 4.
That's that's how I felt putting them at 5, yeah,
Now, don't get me wrong, dude. I want Clemson to be good. I love Dabo, but
same.
it's like we're on our knees begging and Dabo, please, dude, show us something.
Mhm.
Show us.
Yeah, well, maybe he's just, sandbagging so that way, if Kellen DeBoer gets fired, he can come back home to Alabama. I wouldn't and then he and then he unleashes his coaching skills again like he
I
used to have.
actually read where he has a Alabama clause in
Yeah,
his contract
yep, where
where
he
he's gotta pay them 4.5 million if he
Yeah.
leaves for Alabama.
Yeah, now they might pay Alabama 4.5 million for us to take them. Who knows? But uh, how things have changed in the last 5 years. But well, I'll move on. My number 4 is Louisville. I think this is a team that a lot of people are big on this year. They were a pretty good team last year, won some big games within their conference. Um, but again, it was kind of similar to um NC State, like, in Clemson. It's just like they didn't do a whole lot that got me super excited, but they did have some great pieces. That I mean, they have 8 returning starters, 3 on their offense, 5 on their defense. Um, the QB transfer from Ohio State, he's a 4-star, Lincoln Kienholz.
Mhm.
Um, the fact that he was at Ohio State tells me that he's a good quarterback. He hasn't really played before. This is kind of like he's a first time starter. Um, I think he's a question mark, but we'll see. They did bring in 2 4-star wide receivers. They brought in a 4-star tight end, a 4-star edge, and a 4-star safety. So they did have some good additions. Um, but again, I like the teams that I have 1 through 3 better than Louisville. So I got them. And they have a tough schedule. They play at Ole Miss, they're home against SMU, they go to at Georgia Tech and at Kentucky. So I'm not saying they're gonna lose all 4 of those games, but due to their schedule, they fall to number 4 for me.
Okay. Alright, my number 3, you had him as the, honorable mention, NC State.
Yeah, I knew they'd be on your list. That's why I had a feeling. Go ahead, though.
Now, out of the 3 teams I've named, Miami is better than all of them, but the way I had it with the records and all, tiebreakers, NC State comes in at 3, simply because they have CJ Bailey, dog. They got, Harvey Dyson from Tulane, had 8 sacks last year. Now, I think this is gonna be a team that's gonna be, how is their defense? I think their defense is gonna make or break them. New defense coordinator, I think DJ Elliott. I wanna say he's new, I'm not totally sure, But man, you just look at their schedule. They open up the season at Virginia. Now I know Virginia was runner up ACC last year, but dude, they got Bo Pribula at quarterback, lost a bunch of starters. I don't think it's gonna be the same Virginia. And then they got Louisville at home. They face Cal, but it's a home game. And man, that's pretty much it. Like
Mm.
there are no top dogs. I'm curious what their strength of schedule is because it's got to be low.
I actually think they might have one of the easiest schedules, and I actually looked that up. That was gonna be a reason why I wanted to put them in. Let me see. But yeah, no, they here, let me see. I got it right here. Um,
I
well,
want to say it's in the 60s.
yeah, I'm looking. Oh yeah, 66. So there's only two teams from the Power Four that has an easier schedule, and that's Kansas State and Texas Tech. But they're basically in third place as far as easiest schedules go in all of the Power Four programs.
Yeah. So see I mean, that's you get a
Hmm.
quarterback like CJ Bailey and a strength of schedule of 66,
Yeah, he
you're
could.
bound to win.
That's fair. I think that's a great point. And that was a reason why I wanted to put them at 5. Again, it's just, man, they lost so much because
Yeah.
they were a good football team last year, very quietly, like I said, but when I looked at their losses and then I looked at their acquisitions, I just don't feel like that they filled up the holes that they have, and
Mhm.
because of that, I just think it's gonna be hard for them to be at the same level they were last year.
Yeah. I could see that for sure.
No, I'll move on. My number 3, and this this is I would say, I guess, I don't know if you can call it a sleeper because I have him at number 3, but this is a team I think has actually a legitimate chance to win the ACC, and I'm guessing is probably sitting at your number 1 or number 2 spot. But I put him at 3, and that's Georgia Tech. Um, I really like Georgia Tech. They had some great additions. I think that they were just a solid team last year. So of course they bring in Alberto Mendoza. Everybody knows Fernando Mendoza's little brother. He's only a 3-star recruit. We haven't really seen him play a whole lot, not any meaningful snaps. So he's a question, but um, the fact that he'll be able to kind of, I know his brother's not going to be able to mentor him. He's trying to, learn how to be a rookie in the NFL and all that. But the fact that he has his brother to kind of lean on, and I guarantee he's got some good resources around him to help develop him. But I believe in him as a quarterback. One of their biggest acquisitions, which to me I thought was crazy, was of course Justice Haynes, from Michigan. Um, I loved him at Alabama. Obviously, I wish he'd have stayed. He was a stud at Michigan. My guess is he didn't want to split reps with Jordan Marshall, and so he came and found his own team here at Georgia Tech. But I think he's going to be a huge addition for them. They added an edge rusher from actually Alabama. He's a 4-star, Noah Carter. They also added a 3-star linebacker from Bama, Joseph Ionata. And then they also added a 4-star wide receiver from Alabama, Jalen Mbakwe. And so they kind of just stole Alabama's leftovers, I feel like. I mean, you can even throw Justice Haynes in that mix. So this is kind of, Alabama's backup team. And I think
Mhm.
Alabama I think Alabama's backup team is definitely good enough to win third place in the ACC at a minimum. I think their ceiling is actually winning the ACC.
Okay. You're gonna be disappointed in me, and I'm kinda disappointed in myself. I did not have my top 5.
I am disappointed in you because I for some something was telling me, I was like, Dunnigan's probably got them like 1 or 2. Who did you have at number 3?
NC State.
Okay, yeah, so you had NC State. All right, so if you won, we can just do 1 and 2 together, make it easy to talk about the ACC championship. You can go ahead.
So for my ACC championship, but excluding Georgia Tech from the top 5, I got Louisville or Louisville, depending on where you're from, and SMU.
Mm.
Now, this dude, I'm telling you, I don't feel good about my ACC. I don't. I'm telling you, I am wrong, but this is just what I got, dude.
I respect it.
I got Louisville and SMU. I got SMU, dude. I got them going 9-0 in the
Mm.
regular season. I mean, they're scheduled just like NC State. It's like, where are the teams, dude?
Yeah.
I mean, I got them losing to Notre Dame because I don't think they're going to be that good of a team. They got Jalen Hale from Alabama, Kendrick Raphael from Cal, who had just shy of 1,000 yards last year,
Mhm.
Jamal Anderson from Clemson. Now, Rhett Lashley, I will say, Rhett Lashley, 20-7 in the past 2 seasons.
That's impressive.
Now he lost both coordinators going into this year. And instead of hiring, an offense coordinator, defense coordinator, he assigned like 2 or 3 guys to be co-coordinators together. So I'm kinda curious to how that's gonna play out when you don't have one specific dude, calling the plays, running the defense, running the offense.
That's
So
a that's
I'm
interesting.
yeah, I'm curious to see how that's gonna pan out for him. But according to me, it's gonna pan out really fucking well, so I guess
Hey,
we'll see.
I don't have a problem with that. Like I said, I had Louisville at 4. I think a lot of people are high on Louisville. I know the ACC has some weird tiebreakers, and I guess shame on me for not kinda looking up what those are. I know, obviously, last year with Duke and Virginia being in the ACC championship, a lot of people were like, "What the hell's going on with the ACC?" But,
Yeah.
um to me, like I said, with Louisville's out of conference schedule because I know that's a tiebreaker, overall versus conference. To me, their out of conference schedule was just rough, having Ole Miss and Kentucky, and then of course in conference they play SMU and Georgia Tech. So yeah, it'll be interesting. I don't have a problem with Ellis or Louisville being in there. Um, I'll jump in because I had SMU at number 2 for me.
Okay.
So
I
I
feel
also
better. I feel better.
but what I thought was interesting about this guy, Kendrick Raphael, is he's had last year, he had 0 fumbles all year. He had 943 rush yards, 13 touchdowns, 245 receiving yards and a touchdown, and 0 fumbles all year. So you like to see that. Um, yeah, Kendrick Raphael, I like him a lot. And then Kevin Jennings last year, he had 3,600 pass yards, 26 touchdowns to 13 interceptions. I think he's got to cut down on his picks. That's all that's over a pick a game on average, by one, but still. Um, and then so I took a note of this. In 2025, he only had 54 rushing yards. Now, I think they take into account, sacks count against your rushing yards, but he had 54 and 25. In 2024, he had 354. And of course, that's when SMU made the playoffs and everything. Now they got dog walked, but um, so I'm kind of hoping that Kevin Jennings goes back to using his legs a little bit more. And I got them playing Miami. I know you had them at 5. Yeah, I got Miami number 1, man, and a lot of it is just they got 8 returning starters, um, and they brought in Damon Wilson the second. He's an edge rusher, 4-star from Missouri. They brought in Van Dravius Jacobs. He's a 4-star wide receiver out of South Carolina. Um, actually, they had 3 4-star wide receiver transfers. Another one, and I'll just go ahead and mention him, Darian Mensah. He's incredible. What he did at Duke last year was I honestly can't believe that he wasn't in the talks for Heisman, but he like you said, he almost threw for 4,000 yards. He threw 34 touchdowns to 6 interceptions, had a 66% completion rate. He's 6'3", 205, which is just that's a good size. He's not big, but he's not small either. Um, but what I like that they did is they brought his favorite receiver from Duke, which is Cooper Barcotti. He's a 4-star wide receiver. He had 1,100 yards last year. So they brought him in as kind of like a comfort blanket, I almost feel like for him, someone that he know, he has chemistry with already, and as the other receivers already mentioned. So I think their offensive line's going to be good. QB's going to be good. They bring him back the running back. I just mentioned all the 4-star receivers they brought in. They still have Malachi Tony. Um, and then of course I love Mario Cristobal. I think he's a hell of a coach. So for me, I felt like this is Miami's conference to lose. So I got Miami and SMU going to the ACC.
Yeah, that's a lot better than mine, I think, personal. One thing I did so I'm gonna go ahead and pick Louisville to win the ACC championship game just because I think they're gonna be a better team than SMU, even though I have them losing to SMU in the season, but hard to beat a team twice, right?
Yeah, no, that's fair. I guess if I have to pick a winner, I'm taking Miami. Again, they're my number 1 seed.
Yeah.
And a lot of it just comes down to quarterback and head coach. That's so important in football. And I like Mario Cristobal.
Mhm.
I like Darian Mensa better. Again, I think that Miami's coming back around is like, the U back in the early 2000s. Like they're a hotspot destination for some of these guys. So it's hard for me to pick against Miami.
One thing I did wanna point out for Louisville, you ever heard of Isaac Brown?
I can't say I have. No, who's he?
Dude, he averaged 8.8 yards a carry on 101 rushes.
Wow.
Just insane. My first question was, why does he only have 101 rushes? So look look out for Isaac Brown this year. I'm I'm
Okay.
expecting big things. I hope so at least, just
Well,
because I mentioned him.
and to your point, I mean, I do think that SMU's quarterback, Kevin Jennings, if you can have a rush game to sort of take off some of that heat off of him, I think that, you gotta have a good running game. I think Ty Simpson was, and not to talk Alabama while we're talking ACC, but, you know, I think Ty Simpson was actually an outstanding quarterback. I mean, we saw him get drafted 13th overall by the Rams. They saw something in him, and I think I saw similar things. The problem why we didn't see the production was because defenses knew they were passing. So, like, you gotta have a run game. So, to your point with SMU is like, if they can run the football, I think that's gonna take a lot of heat off of Kevin Jennings to kinda allow him to distribute the football to some of these playmakers.
Yeah. Yeah. Needless to say, run game is just as important as pass game.
I would argue more important
Yeah.
because like you said, we saw what happened to Alabama last year. Even if you have a very good passing game, if you can't run the football, defenses are just going to rush 3, drop 8, and it's hard to pass. But
Yeah.
if you have a good run game, that just opens up the rest of your offense, opens up RPO, play action, everything. So you always got to start with the run game.
Yeah. I agree. All right, moving on. Big 12. You want to kick us off?
All
Because
right,
I don't.
Yeah, I'm about to say I really don't either. Um, so I actually, which people are probably gonna think this is crazy. I got BYU at 5. Um,
Okay.
and the reason being is just to be honest, I think they took advantage of some of these other teams faltering last year in the Big 12. I feel like Arizona kind of stumbled, Utah stumbled, and I feel like they were just kind of there. I'm not saying they're a bad team, but I'm not sold on Bear Bachmeier. I'm just not. He's a running quarterback. He's not someone that has a really good arm. He's not super accurate. I think they're gonna be a good team, and they could 100% prove me wrong. Um, but I guess I'm just kinda expecting them to take a step back this year. What does that look like? Maybe they're 3 losses instead of 2, I don't know. But yeah, I got them finishing 5th in the Big 12.
All right. My 5 is Arizona State. I think Dillingham bounces back this year.
Okay.
He added Owen Long. He led the FBS in tackles from Colorado State. I think it was like something outrageous, like 154, something like that.
Mhm.
Now, one thing I'm not sure on is their quarterback Cutter Boley from Kentucky. He seems to be the starter. He's 6'5". I mean, that's always good. Looks like they brought in a solid receiving core. Not like there's no stars, but they're all veterans. They've all started at their previous school. Reed Harris, Omarion Miller, and then Raven Vinesbright. They brought in Edge Jalen Thompson and Emarion Winston. Those two combined have 1,300 snaps just last year. They got a top 25 transfer class. So what I'm thinking Dillingham did was kind of like what Signetti did last year. Bring in guys that are kind of everyone looks over, but they're veteran guys.
Yeah.
So I think Arizona State's going to have a good team full of veterans. Really, my only question mark is the quarterback Cutter Boley. I guess we'll see. I got them going 9-3, 7-2 in the Big 12.
Yeah, I like that. That was a team that I kind of looked at as someone that I kind of wanted to put in my top five, but I couldn't find enough juice to put them in there. But I mean,
Mhm.
everything you just stated, I think is a fair argument for them to be in the top five. Moving on, I'll move on to my number four. This was a team. Again, I kind of just like I like ranking these teams off of how I think they're gonna be and less of what their schedule is gonna be. Um, but for me, this team, I couldn't get past their schedule, and that's Arizona. Um,
Tough.
yeah, I love Noah Fafita. I think he's a stud. Could be in the Heisman uh conversation. I don't think he'll seriously be, you know, talked about as a Heisman candidate, but I think he'll be at least in that conversation. So he was a big reason why I wanted to put them higher. But man, their schedule is just oof. They got BYU on the road. They play West Virginia, which I don't know exactly what West Virginia is going to be, but they're just kind of one of those programs you always got to watch out for. They go on the road to Texas Tech. They've got Utah at home. They go on the road to Kansas State, and they play Arizona State at home. So it was just hard for me to see them coming out of that schedule with more than or less than maybe 3 losses. So for that reason, kind of alone, I put them in number four.
Dude, I respect that. I had Arizona just missing the cut as
Mm,
much as I hate that. Because, dude, if I had to pick a player outside the Alabama organization to hold up a natty, it's going to be a Noah Fafita. Dude,
yeah,
just something about that guy.
yeah. Like you're actually the one that put me on to him, and
Yeah.
and I really like him. Like I said, I don't know exactly what it is, but I like him.
I mean, dude, he gave Arizona a winning season. I think they went like 9-4 2 years ago or 9-3. And then their head coach Fish leaves for Washington. But what's he do, dude? He stays. I
Hmm.
respect as I kind of wish he would have went, but I respect it, you know.
Yeah.
So I just love that guy. My number four, I don't feel good about this. Sonny Dykes or Sonny Dykes. How you say it? Sonny?
I'd say Sunny. Yeah.
Sonny Dykes, TCU. He's 36-17 since 2022, 9-4 last year. Both coordinators coming back. Now they only have 8 starters returning. So that's a question mark. But they did grab, this is interesting, Ivy League Harvard quarterback Jaden Craig,
Mm,
2,600 yards, 25 touchdowns. They got their duo back, Payne and Denman. I expect them to run the ball more. I'm not sure how this Jaden Craig guy's going to do, but their schedule really ain't bad. I mean, BYU at home. They go to Arizona and they go to Texas Tech. But other than that, man, these are all pretty winnable games.
mhm. I'd agree. Yeah, it's the AC or excuse me, the Big 12. I did take I looked a lot more at their schedules. Um, and so yeah, I think with an easier schedule, I can't blame you for putting them where you got them. I'll move on. My number three is gonna be Houston.
Did you do four?
Yeah, my number four was Arizona.
Oh, okay. Who's your
Yeah,
5?
BYU.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so number 3, I had Houston. Um, they're they're a team, so I'll be honest, I kinda let the mainstream media sway me a little bit, it's that just because everybody's talking like Houston is gonna be a legitimate threat to win the Big 12 this year. When I was looking at them, I mean, there wasn't a whole lot to get me excited, but I do think I mean, they went, what, 10-3 last year, and
Mhm.
they were some close losses that they had, so, again, I kinda felt like they just fumbled the ball a little bit, but they got 12 returning starters, 6 on offense, 6 on defense, so they got a lot of their team coming back. I think Willie Fritz is gonna be a decent coach, he's only been there a couple years now, but I think he's a good head coach, so again, I kinda let the mainstream media sway me, but I got Houston finishing 3rd in the Big 12 because I couldn't put them higher, than my top 2 teams.
I'm excited to hear your top 2. My 3 is, BYU, Kalani take 11th year. Had no idea he's been there that long. But, dude, I think Bear Bachmeier, I think he's good. He's freshman of the year last year, but like you said, he is a running quarterback, and I know we don't like those, but uh, college football loves them.
Mhm.
They got preseason Big 12 Offensive Player of the Year, LJ Martin, running back. He had 1,300 yards last year. Parker Kingston, wide receiver, 900 yards last year. 4 out of their 5 O-lines returning. In addition, you got 6 returners on defense, including All-American safety, ooh, Falete Satula? What is with these names, man? Now, they kept their offensive coordinator, Aaron Roderick. They promoted Kelly Papinga from within the system to the defense coordinator. And kind of like TCU, their schedule, dude, it's just really in their favor. They got Notre Dame, doesn't count. But other than that, man, at TCU, that's pretty much it. They play the kind of the lower teams of the Big 12. And plus, I
Mhm.
mean, they're a good team, so I could really see them with one loss to Notre Dame and going undefeated in the Big 12, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah. No, I mean, again, I felt like 5 was kinda low for BYU. I do like their coach. Um, I just, yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm just kinda predicting them to take a step back, and to be honest, for me, the biggest thing was Bear Bachmeier. I'm not sold on him. I like him. I think he's a gritty dude, but I just don't think that he's a winning quarterback. I mean, I know they had a heck of a season last year, but can't fault you for putting them at 3. So I'll move on to my top 2. So at
Big
number
12 championship.
yeah, at number 2, um, I got Utah. I got Utah at
Ooh,
2, and I got Texas Tech at 1. Utah, I actually really like. I think their quarterback, Devin Devon, however you pronounce it, Dampier,
yeah.
he is a true dual threat. I mean, last year he threw for 2,500 yards, 24 touchdowns, and he had almost 1,000 yards rushing. So he is like a true dual threat. Um, and last year, I was looking through their schedule, man. There was only one game that they did not score 30 points or more. And that was
Holy
again
cow.
yeah, yeah, I mean, yeah, I'll just real quick, I'll just read it through, I don't wanna take your time too much, um, but let's see, we'll start out. So, they scored 43, 63, 31. Oh, excuse me, they scored 10 against Texas Tech, so there were 2 games, sorry. 48, 42, 21 against BYU, 53, 45, 55, 51, 31. And then 44 against Nebraska in the Las Vegas Bowl. So their offense was just humming last year. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just kind of predicting them to put it together this year. They did bring in some good 3-star transfers on their defense. Because I think that was kind of the missing piece, especially against like Texas Tech. And I don't know. I like what Utah has. I like their coach. I'm expecting them to finish second. And then first, I didn't really wanna do it because it seemed like such an easy out, but
Cliche.
yeah, I do got Texas Tech. They're they're kinda just the trendy team right now. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mhm.
they just seem like the trendy team. Now, if what's his face? Brandon Sorsby, if he'd have stayed, yeah, I think that's a easy them winning the Big 12, but now they got Will Hammond, who's a sophomore. But I think he'll be able to run the offense well enough. We'll see. We don't know a whole lot about him. Their head coach, Joey McGuire, um, he's 35 and 18 overall, which ain't great, but it's definitely not terrible. So I kind of respect him. They have 13 returning starters, and obviously we saw what they were last year, so they got some good guys coming back. They have 23 starters in total. That's including transfers. So they have a full roster of guys that started college football last year. They got a four-star wide receiver from Auburn, a four-star edge rusher, four-star defensive lineman from Wake Forest, a four-star linebacker from K-State. Um, so yeah, I like their additions. I think they're bringing back enough pieces, and again, I think Will Hammond's gonna be competent enough to run this offense. The Big 12 isn't that hard of a conference, to be in the championship game. No disrespect to some of these teams, but yeah, I got those 2 on top. If I had to pick a winner, I actually think if Texas Tech and Houston, or excuse me, Utah, I think if those 2 ended up in the ACC championship, I think that'd actually be a really fun game, because it's gonna come down to Texas Tech's defense. Can they contain Utah's quarterback? Um, but I think I'd have to give the edge to Texas Tech on that one.
Alright. Now, I feel like this is who'd you have in your ACC championship?
My ACC championship was Miami and SMU.
Okay, so there was somebody in the ACC, Georgia Tech.
I had them at 3rd, yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't have them in the top 5. Same thing just happened. I did not have Utah in the top 5.
Hmm.
Only because this is literally the only reason. First time head coach. First year head coach at Utah.
Yeah.
Because obviously, what's his name? Not Dillingham. What's his name?
Well, I honestly,
He left for Michigan.
um,
Whittingham, I think.
Whitting, yeah, Kyle Whittingham, yeah.
Yeah, Whittingham left for Michigan. He got a new head coach. Now, Dampier, stud, absolute stud. So I would not be surprised if he leads them to a Big 12 championship game.
So, real quick before you get going, the reason why so his name's Morgan Scaly.
Mm.
Um, he's the new head coach. The reason why I like him is he's been at Utah since 2006. So he's been there. Yeah, he's been there for 20 years. So, yeah, I know we don't know much about him, but when someone's been a part of a program for that long, it gives me confidence that, he's got some abilities and he's obviously got some Utah pride about him. So
Yeah.
that's why I liked him.
Okay. I like that. I respect it. My championship game, I got Houston and Texas Tech.
Okay.
So Houston, you got Willie Fritz in the second season. He went 10-3. Connor Wegman, I remember he used to play for A&M, transferred there last year, I believe. He did. I mean, he did good last year. 2,700 yards, 25 passing touchdowns. Um, Now they only have two O linemen returning, but they also brought in two G5 linemen that were all conference in their respective conference. One was from the MAC, one was from the AAC. But on top of that, they got 12 total returning starters. And I just think when you have a good head coach like Willie Fritz, along with a quarterback that can get the job done like Wegman, I think you're set up for success.
Yeah, agreed.
So so give me Texas Tech, Houston. I'm not gonna talk too much about Texas Tech. You pretty much said everything that I was gonna say. They returned both their coordinators, so you got a playoff team that they lost their quarterback, but Will Hammond was a great quarterback before he tore his ACL.
Yeah.
So as long as he can play just up to standard, there's no reason they shouldn't be back in the playoffs.
Mhm.
So I
You
guess
got
give me Texas.
yeah,
I
I
want to say
know.
give me Texas Tech to win, but
It
hard
feels
to
like
beat a team twice.
hey, that's a good point. That's a good point.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm gonna play it safe. I'm gonna play it safe. Give me Texas Tech.
Yeah, yeah. This the ACC and Big 12, man, they were kinda hard. Again, I think they're gonna have some good football. The thing is, it's just where we're sitting behind a computer screen looking up some of this stuff, it's hard to know how they're actually gonna look. We can only judge them off of who's returning, who's their transfers, who is their head coach. Like we can only look up what the internet can tell us. So
Mhm.
I think, it's kind of a toss up in some of these conferences, but yeah, I think it's always wise to to play it safe and just go with the team that's proven themselves with Texas Tech. So
All right. So there's a Big 12 and ACC. Well, you want to hit the coaches?
yeah, yeah, so we've hit the Power 4 conferences. Now we kinda wanted to shift over and talk about head coaches on the hot seat. Um, and I think it's always an interesting conversation. The way that I sort of approach this, right? Because obviously there's so many teams in college football, you know what I'm saying? Like we could I'm sure there's some G5 coach that's probably on the hot seat, but to me, the way I approach this, I looked at it as program, expectations and tradition and coaches that haven't quite lived up to that, right? So that's sort of how I was able to sift through all these coaches and um at number 5, which could be up for debate. I went with Pat Narduzzi from Pitt, um,
Okay.
which again, so he's 80. He has an 80-61 record with them, which ain't terrible. But to me, I felt like Pitt has higher expectations for their program. Now they had a pretty good year. What was it, 2 years or 3 years ago with Kenny Pickett? Um, And so I think that kinda bought him a little bit of time, but to me, it just feels stagnant. It feels like they haven't been a serious team, since he's been there, and he's been there, let me look this up real quick. I think he's been there since 2001, or not
Damn.
2000, not no, excuse me, 2021. Yeah, no, not 2001. Oh, no, excuse me. He's been there since 2015, so it has been a while. Yeah, like I said, he's 80-61. He's 2-6 in bowl games. Um, Again, they won the ACC in 2021. That was with Kenny Pickett. But outside of that, he just really hadn't done much. Um, and I'm not saying Pitt is one of these powerhouse programs, but I do think that they have a higher standard for themselves. And it just feels like Pat Narduzzi, if he can't string something together this year, or and especially in such a weak ACC, I mean, it's like that's a conference that's very winnable, and if he can't get it done, I think he won't be there much longer.
I could see that. I remember I had high hopes for Pitt last year.
Yeah, a lot of people have. They've had a lot of hype around him since 2021.
Yeah,
Or yeah.
they just feel like a letdown. So yeah, maybe I don't have him on the list, but I think that's a good one. My number 5, the only reason I almost kept him off the list was because his buyout is something like 50 million. I was like, well, they're not gonna fire this guy. But Mike Norvell,
Mm,
dude, there comes a time, depending on their season this year, where you just gotta Jimbo Fisher his ass, give him, pay him the money, and let
yeah,
him go. I
yeah,
mean, obviously he had that good year in that bowl game where they missed the playoffs. He just got smacked by Georgia,
yeah.
and then since then, dude, it's just been downhill. I mean, he had that win against Alabama last year. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But
Mhm.
we can go ahead and give credit to Gus Malzahn on that one, all right?
Yeah, yeah.
He's
Well
gone, so we ain't gotta worry about that this year.
well, I'll be honest, I think, and I mean, I don't know if we're ranking these on, like, who's in the hottest seat or what, or if we're just kinda compiling a list of 5. I kinda did it as my number 1 was on the hottest seat, and not
Yeah,
to, spoiler alert, but Mike Norvell's my number 1, so I'll I'll speak on him, when we get up there, but yeah, he's most definitely on the hot seat. Easy pick there.
yeah. So
Um
who's your number 4?
So number 4, I got Dave Aranda from Baylor. Again, I just think that they're one of those programs to where, and it's any Texas school, like, the expectation for football there is high, and Baylor's been there. I mean, Baylor won the Big 12 in 2021. Again, similar with Pitt. Pitt had a good year in 2021, won the ACC. I think he's kind of in the same boat. We're 5 years away from that conference championship. He's 36 and 37 overall as a head coach at Baylor. Actually, as a head coach, period, because this is his first head coaching job. Um, but yeah, so I just I think that that's just not the Baylor standard. You know what I mean? Like, I remember when it was like Baylor TCU every year for the Big 12, like that was what you wanted to watch. And Baylor just haven't hasn't been that since 2021. So I think he's got this year, maybe next year to turn it around. But if he's not seriously making a push for a Big 12 championship, it's hard for me to see him being there past 2027.
You know what? Just like Pitt, that's another team I had high hopes for, and they
Mhm.
just ruined it.
And that's kind of the point. That's kind of my point with some of these. Like you said, it's the media hypes them up. I mean, these are traditional, uh, just good. I mean, Pitt's questionable, but like but they're good college football programs, and when they don't live up to these expectations, to me, that's what I really took into high consideration on who's on the hot seat because you only get so many chances, and Pat Narduzzi's been there since 2015. Um, this Dave Aranda, he's been there since 2020, so it's like you're at the end of your rope. So it's either now or never is how I feel.
Yeah. And my number 4, it was I had 3 guys at my number 4. They just all had huge buyouts, so I'm thinking like, are these teams gonna bite the bullet and pay this coach, 30, 40, 50 million? That's I had 3 coaches. I'm just gonna list them off, and then I'm gonna say the one that I settled on. Bill Belichick, Deion Sanders, Dabo Swinney. I settled on Dabo, unfortunately. I don't think it's gonna happen. I think he's gonna give Clemson a good year this year. But theoretically, this quarterback, Pazina,
Mhm.
if he shits the bed,
Yeah.
he's been with Clemson 3 years. He shits the bed. Dabo goes, I don't know, 6 and 6.
Mhm.
What are we doing?
Yeah. No, I 100% agree. Dabo, he was actually my honorable mention. I had a list of 6, and I left him off of it because of he's Dabo.
Yeah.
I think because of what he's done, he's bought himself a little bit more time. And now, how much time? I don't know. 2, 3 seasons, but I think you're right. If they if they fall apart this year, there's going to be some serious conversations about is it time to make a change at Clemson? Because again, that's too big. And it sucks because he's the one that's turned Clemson into this powerhouse. But because he's done that, now there is this expectation of like, hey, this is too good of a program to be where we've been the last, 4 or 5 years, so,
Yeah.
and then as far as I didn't mean to cut you off. If you have something else about Dabo?
Well, I was just gonna say the reason I didn't decide on Dion and Bill was just Dion, dude, he may not be a great coach, but the amount of money he's probably
Mhm.
brought in to that program, I don't think the boosters really care
Nope.
about their team being, top of the Big 12.
No, and, that was the same thing I thought about too. Dion's too he's the best thing to ever happen to Colorado football since the history since Adam and Eve. Um, they're just not gonna get rid of him. Like, he could be
Uh,
terrible, but it's the swag, it's the media attention, it's he's bringing in, like you said, enough money to where I don't think it ultimately matters how they actually perform on the field. And with
yeah,
Bill Belichick, he was another somebody that I thought about. To me, it was just too early.
yeah.
Um, this is only his second season. Now I actually looked up North Carolina, obviously, when I was checking out the ACC, and obviously they weren't in my top 5. I don't think the Bill Belichick experiment's gonna work. I would love for it to. I like Bill Belichick. I think it'd be cool for him to make North Carolina, a playoff contender. But I don't think it's gonna happen. But I do think, just out of respect for who he is as a coach, that they're probably gonna give him at least 4 or 5 years, and that's if he don't decide to hang it up before then. But, yeah, it's hard to I mean, what else does North Carolina have going for him? Kinda like almost like Dion, like, he's the reason you go to Colorado. Like,
Yeah.
Bill Belichick's the reason you go to North Carolina, so if they have any chance at being relevant, we know he can coach football, and we know that he's gonna bring in recruits more so than probably any other coach that they could get right now. So that's why I didn't put them on. But again, Dabo, he was probably number 6 on for me. Moving on to my number 3, um, which I think you could argue him at 1 or 2, and he's probably, if I had to guess, I think if you did correct research, that he will be your 1 or 2 or 3, wherever you're at. But
Don't put
my
don't put that kind of pressure on me, all right?
Hey, yeah, yeah, you let me down earlier with but mine's Shane Beamer. To me, that's
No
just
way.
yeah, to me, that's an easy now, if any, I don't know if anybody's listening to these at all outside of us, but obviously we all know, if you listen to our SEC podcast, that I'm big on South Carolina this year. I had them at number 4 in the SEC. We haven't done our playoff predictions yet, but I feel confident. We'll see how it all shakes out, but I feel like they might be the 4th SEC team to squeak into the playoffs. So if he does that, which I think they have the roster for it, then I think he probably saves his job. But right now, it's not looking pretty. He's 33-30 as a head coach there. He's 16-24 in the SEC. I mean, that is just, and don't get me wrong, SEC, tough conference. I get it. You know what I'm saying? Like, no one's, and, obviously his dad was a legend at, where did his dad coach? Was it, West Virginia?
No, it's Virginia Tech.
Virginia Tech. Okay, I knew it was a Virginia team. Yeah. So he comes from a lineage of, coaches and stuff. But again, where South Carolina's they're a very passionate fan base, and we're just at the end, like, it's you're 33-30 overall, and you're 16-24. And my biggest thing was, again, with how high I am on their roster, it's like, if you can't do it with this roster, and it's not about winning a national championship. I don't think anybody's expecting that. But again, if you're not pushing for a playoff spot this season, or I honestly, I think you could argue, if they don't get into the playoffs, there's gonna be some serious questions about, "Hey, what do we do next?" So, Shane Beamer landed at number 3 for me.
Well, I don't even need to talk because my 3 is Shane Beamer.
There you go.
Yeah, dude, like you said, man, and his best record at South Carolina is 9-4 2 years ago,
Mhm.
and then before that, it's 8-5 his first year. So it's like, now feels like, with, like you said, the roster that he has, it's do or die, brother.
Yeah.
So you better make something of it. So I'll go ahead with my number 2, and I don't know, you might have he really hasn't had a lot of success, but Bill O'Brien,
Hmm, I like
he's
it.
he's been at Boston College for, 3 years now, and, you haven't really he's 9-16 at Boston College, so This will be his 3rd year, sorry. So he's 9-14 in total. He went 7-6 his first year, which is like your first year in college, really, since 2013. 7-6 ain't bad. But then last year you go 2-10.
Mm,
So it's like, where are we at, Bill? Are you past your prime? What are we doing?
yeah,
So I wouldn't be surprised. I don't have any hopes really for Boston College this year.
yeah.
So I could see him getting the boot.
Yeah, I think, no, I think that's a great pick by you. Like I said, it's one of those big names where when they probably got him, they thought, hey, that, you know, this could be a guy to turn things around, and he just hasn't. But I do think Boston College is one of those teams where they've been decent in the past, but I don't know, I don't think any real players coming out of high school is like, "Oh, let me go play for Boston College." But
Yeah.
that's the coach's job to fix that, and doesn't seem like he has, so I got no problem with him being there at your number 2. For my number 2, was Luke Fickell, Wisconsin. Uh, he was a I would say he was a big name hire when they brought him on. He was at Cincinnati for a while. He won coach of the year. He had actually a really good he was 57-18 at Cincinnati. Which yeah, like, and I mean they were, on the cusp of being like a national. I don't want to, maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, but they were one of the best teams, top 20 teams in college football while he was there. So when Wisconsin brought him in, again, I think the expectation was, all right, do what you did at Cincinnati here. And it just hasn't been that. He's 17-21. Um, in 2023, he went 7-6. 24, he went 5-7. And then in 2025, he went 4-8. So it's just gotten worse. Um, actually, in 2024, when he went 5-7, that was the first losing season for Wisconsin in over 20 years. So
Mhm.
again, not that Wisconsin's some powerhouse team, but I think that is one of the more prestigious schools when it comes to football or just sports in general. Like Wisconsin's a big school, and the fact that he has not delivered there in the last, 4 years, whatever it's been, I think they're, if he don't deliver something that gives them hope after this season, I think they're gonna start looking elsewhere. So he landed number 2 for me, Luke Fickell.
Alright. My number 1, Brent Brennan,
Ugh.
Arizona. Now, I remember when they hired him and I looked him up for the first time. Dude, what are we doing? He had 1 good year at San Jose State. They went 7-1, but that was a COVID year. And then after that, man, 5-7, 7-5, 7-6. And then they hired him to coach one of the greatest quarterbacks in the country.
Yeah.
And of course, Fafita stayed. They go 4-8, and then 9-4 last year, which is his best head coaching record to date. So I think, man, if you got Fafita at the helm and you have a losing season, I think it's time to part ways.
Yeah.
I don't think. Now, do I think it's gonna happen? No. I think Fafita's gonna tear it up this year. At least I hope he does. But I'm just saying theoretically, if they do, he's gonna get the boot.
Yeah. I mean, again, I think, like you said, it's especially when you have a guy like Fafita, like you said, it's kinda like goes back to Shane Beamer. When you have a roster like you do, or when you have a player or whatever, if you can't get it done with them, then it's just like, all right, well, then you just can't get it done. And I
Yeah.
think that's kinda what you're saying here with him. So I got no problem with that. For my number 1, again, I've already kinda spoiled it, but it was Mike Norvell. To be honest, it's crazy that he's not already fired. Um, And perhaps it was just that they couldn't find a good enough candidate, and again, yeah, as you mentioned, the buyout is ridiculous. Um, but dude, he has been a major, major flop. So he's 38 and 33 as a head coach there. He's 22 wins and 26 losses in the ACC. Now, Florida State, man, to me, when I if you told me to make a list of like, I don't know, 20 of the best just iconic college football programs in all of college football, I think Florida State would probably be on it for me. Probably on that back half of the 20, but still, like Florida State, that's a prestigious school, man. Like that's, I mean, we're talking like that's to me, that's up there with like a Alabama, LSU, Florida, Tennessee. You know what I'm saying? Like if you can land a job at Florida State, that's impressive. And he's just completely flopped. So I did a little math in my head. Not I if you take out the 2023 season, right? Now I know this is kind of silly because the 2023 season happened. They were amazing that year. They went 13 and 1. They were 8 and 0 in the ACC, right?
Mhm.
Outstanding season. But just for fun, take out that 2023 season. So I'll run back these numbers. He's 38 and 33 overall, 22 and 26 in the ACC. Without that 2023 season, he's 25 and 33 overall, and he's 15 and 25 in conference.
Gee,
Yeah, I mean, like that to me, I mean, I'll be honest, I could probably do a better, I could probably do at least, I could at least do that. You know what I'm saying? Like me, Mr. Joe Schmo, coach, high school football for 2 years. Like I could go up there and take a Florida State team to 15 and 25 in conference. Um, so yeah, to me, it's a no brainer if and looking at their team, obviously, I didn't have them in my top 5 in the ACC. I don't think they've added much. Their quarterback, he was a transfer from, I think, Auburn, right? Daniels. Um, but
Ashton
I
Daniels?
Yep, Ashton Daniels, he's their starting quarterback. So I'd say I don't I think they're gonna be booty again this year, and to be honest, if out of all these guys, if anybody gets fired mid-season, it's Mike Norvell. If he's there again in 2027, then I think Florida State needs to start looking at their, athletic director, because
Yeah,
it's I mean,
something's fishy going on.
yeah, I mean, because there's no reason. He's not giving you a single reason outside of 2023, which was kinda just a flash in the pan. There's no reason to keep this guy around any longer than they have.
Yeah, I mean, man, it's like part of my, um, what do you call it? The one thing I looked at, or one of the things I looked at when making this list was, is it if they have a bad season, is it gonna damage the image of their team? And I think Florida State's already past that
Yeah,
with Norvell.
100%.
And so, yeah, I'm with you, man. If they have another losing season and they don't get rid of Norvell, there needs to be an investigation.
Yeah,
Something's going on.
yeah, no, for sure. Alright, well, I think that was a good touch on coaching. It's always a fun topic, and college football is so weird, because, I think we've mentioned it. So, right now in college football, I believe there's only 3 active head coaches to have won a national championship.
Kirby, Dabo,
Oh,
4,
4, Ryan
4.
Day, and
Yeah,
then, yeah, Signetti,
Signetti.
yeah. So, and I guess the NFL is probably in some ways similar, but yeah, I mean, to win a national championship is hard, and to find a coach that can consistently, make your team a contender year in and year out, that's tough. So, I think that's kinda some of the big issue with some of these coaching hires and stuff is like, well, who else are you gonna bring in, you
Yeah.
know?
That's when Saban left. Everybody's hell, dude, who?
And and to your point, I mean, I think Kalen DeBoer, obviously, when we're talking prestige of coaches, like, he was definitely, obviously, one of the best candidates we had, but even Kalen DeBoer, it's like, okay, yes, he's been a winning head coach no matter what program he's been in,
Mhm.
but he had one good season at Washington, and now that qualifies him to be one of the hottest coaching jobs in all of college football. I mean, I'd say what, top 3, top 5 best coaching positions in all of college football in Alabama. Like, one good season at Washington got him that job. So, to me, that almost just shows the limited number of candidates for these coaching positions.
And crazy, what Lenny said, about a week ago about Heupel and Sark
Mhm.
having
Same
the
record.
same record, but it's like Sark's like a god to Texas, you know?
And yeah, that's something else. I actually considered putting Sarkisian on my hot seat list. Um, but like you said, it's almost like there's this perspective of him like he's a great coach, but to me, it's like, what has he done?
Yeah.
I mean, really, I mean, he had what, I guess it was what, 2 years ago where they were what, in the 1 game away from the national championship?
Mhm.
But again, they were 1 game away and they didn't win. They didn't go to a national championship. He ain't won nothing, like,
Yeah, they almost lost to Arizona State.
yeah, I mean, shoot, he was a part of that Falcons team that gave up a freaking 24-3 comeback loss in the Super Bowl, so, I mean, that's just kinda what his coaching career's been, so, anyway, but
Yeah,
yeah,
that was a crazy stat, dude, having the same record, but there's, like, 2 different perspectives. I
mhm,
mean, not that Heupel gets a bad rap, but he's
but
just not
he's
on the level of Sark.
I'll be honest, while we continue the conversation on head coaches, if I had to choose one or the other, I'm taking Heupel because I think, it's the resources you have at Texas. For one, um, I think maybe so the top 3, in my opinion, the top 3 states for in-state recruiting from high school athletes is Florida, California, Texas, which obviously because they're just large, but they also just have incredible athletes. So the resources there, but the money that Texas brings in, the boosters, everything like Texas to me is it's so much easier to have success at Texas than Tennessee. And
Yeah.
that's not to say that Tennessee doesn't have great boosters or that Tennessee, doesn't have some of those resources, but to me, not on the same level as Texas, so that's kinda how I view it is if Heupel can do what he's done, which is basically rebuild a broken program, Tennessee, then shoot, I think if you put Heupel on Texas, I
Dude.
don't know. That'd be interesting, I'd like to see that.
Yeah, that would be interesting. Alright, last segment, Heisman hopefuls.
Yeah, yeah,
I This was hard for me because I
s
think, dude, there's so many good players.
so there is, and me and you kinda touched on this before we started this podcast, I think you probably dug deeper into the weeds than I did, and simply just because, again, it's always fun to have hot takes and talk about guys that aren't being talked about. I love that. But if we're being serious about who we think has a chance at winning the Heisman, I kind of told you I hate that it feels like a popularity contest. Like if you're not already in that top 10 Heisman watch list, the chances of you winning the Heisman, now you may have a spectacular season and get invited to come out there, but you're not, the Heisman winner is on the top 10 Heisman watch list right now, and that's kinda where I plucked
Mhm.
from, I guess.
Man, Imma give some honorable mentions because like you said, I mean, it's kind of a popularity contest, and I just wanna shout these guys out because 1, people not might not know them, and 2, I wanna be the guy that's like, "Oh, yeah, I heard of that guy from Duney."
Mhm.
I wanna
Man,
be that guy.
that's
So I'm
that's
gonna
that's why you tune into the Pre-Snap podcast, baby,
That's right.
because we're not just mainstream media, we get into the weeds, so let's see
That's
what you
right.
got. Hit us with something good, baby.
So they're all 3 running backs. My first honorable mention, Keywan Lacy. Dude, I love this guy. His stats aren't gonna get him to the Heisman, but I just wanna shout him out. 306 carries, 1,500 yards, 24 touchdowns. Dude is just a dog. I love watching him play, and so I just wanted to shout him out.
I
Another
love
one
that.
another one, another running back, Raleek Brown. It's with Texas now. 186 carries, so half the carries, but only 400 fewer yards. 1,100 yards, only 4 touchdowns, though. I can't remember who he played for. I wanna say he's just transferred. Did he just transfer to Texas? Oh, he was with Arizona State last year. So
Mm.
Raleek Brown with Arizona State last year, 186 carries, 1,100 yards, only 4 touchdowns. But I mean, dude, 1,100 yards, 186 carries, that's 6 yards a carry. And my last one, Isaac Brown. He's a no name right now. I'm hoping he has a big year so I can look good. Dude, 101 carries, 8.8 yards a carry. That's just, dude, that's just insane. So he plays for Louisville, so I'm excited to watch him play. I hope he has a breakout year. But yeah, man, those are my honorable mentions. But you can go ahead and kick us off with who you got.
Well, I'll do 2 guys that weren't in my top 5. So kinda, I guess, my honorable mentions, but everybody knows about him. Number 1, Sam Levitt. I think him coming off that injury, it's just gonna be tough. I believe in Lane Kiffin, and I think that they're gonna have really good offense, so I think Sam Levitt could be in that conversation. But with that injury, it just left me doubtful. And then my other this is kind of funny. I say honorable mention. Um, he's not in my top 5, but I think he's number 2 or possibly, depending on where you look, he's top 3 for Heisman votes. I don't have him in my top 5, and it's CJ Carr. Um,
Mm,
to me, he didn't do anything notable last year. Um, His stats weren't impressive, so to me, it's just they think Notre Dame's gonna be good. Of course, Notre Dame always gets hyped up. Notre Dame does have a very easy schedule, shocker. Um, so I think that plays a part into it, is like, yeah, he can put up some stats, but to me, I just haven't seen it from him. So if I'm creating a top 5 list, he's not on it because I haven't seen him do nothing. These other 5 that I have, I've seen them play at a high level, and so I couldn't put him in my top 5.
I respect that. He's not in my top 5 either. Neither is
Yeah.
Sam Levitt, actually.
That's because we're smart.
I figure
Um,
our top 5 is probably the same.
well, we'll see, we'll see.
Okay, okay, okay.
It's similar. I don't know if it's gonna be the same. So at number 5, which is probably low, um, but I got Julian saying, um,
Mhm.
I obviously in the Heisman conversation last year. I think he's only gonna be better this year. He's playing at Ohio State. He's gonna put up numbers. Um, But I don't know. He didn't necessarily impress me. I thought he played good football last year, but again, I think he just benefited from playing in the Big 10, being on the best roster in all of college football, and he was just a good game manager, and sometimes that's all it takes, but, yeah, that's why he landed number 5 for me.
My number 5, and this he isn't number 5 because he's the 5th best player, because he might be the best player, but it's kinda like you said, he has a roster. Trinidad Jambles.
Ooh,
Dude, almost 4,000 yards last year. Only 22 touchdowns, which is kinda low, but dude, only 3 interceptions on 445 attempts, which is insane. And I put him at 5 really because of Keywan Lacy. I mean, which is a good thing when you have 2 stars, quarterback, running back duo like that. It's just when you're talking Heisman and putting up the real numbers, putting up the real stats, I think Keywan Lacy's kinda gonna take away from that. So he's
yeah.
my number 5, but he's probably my 1 or 2 quarterback in college football.
So I love Trinidad Chambliss. I love him. Loved watching him play last year. He was fantastic. Um, but he's actually not in my top 5, and
Mm,
the reason being is it's less on him and more so my distrust in Ole Miss and Pete Golding. Um, but I'll move on. My number 4, which again I think is probably low, is Malachi Tony. Um, I just think, I mean, he's incredible. We all saw what he did last year, and I'm expecting him to do similar things this year. I think Miami has a revamped offense. I think actually I would put Darian Mensah above Carson Beck. I don't think Carson Beck was a very good quarterback last year, or the year before that at Georgia, to be honest. But anyway, I just say all that to say I do think Malachi Tony is going to have more of a role in this offense, and I think he's going to finish fourth in the Heisman voting.
okay. Now I left him out of the top 5 only because of Darian Minsa, because I feel like if Malachi puts up the numbers, then Darian's gonna put up the numbers, and we all know that anytime a quarterback puts up the numbers, the quarterback's getting the Heisman.
Well, I'll get to Darian Minter here in a little bit, a little sneak peek. But yeah, I agree with you.
So my number 4, mm, give me Jaden Mayava.
I wanted to put him in mind. He didn't make my top 5, but yeah, I like that. Go ahead.
So I'm putting him at 4. I mean, he 3,700 yards. The only thing is 1, I'm not completely sold on USC. I love Lincoln Riley, but, it's kind of he hasn't been really doing much over at USC. But I love Mayava. He needs to get the interceptions down, 10 interceptions last year, which isn't terrible. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, when you're shooting for the Heisman, you're gonna have to get those number down. But I just got a gut feeling really about him. That's pretty much why he's in my number 4. He's a great quarterback. I had my gut feeling, and there you go, number 4.
Yeah, got no issues with that. I obviously think USC is gonna have a big year. I had them finished in 3rd in the Big Ten. I'm probably gonna have them in my playoffs when we get to that. I think we're doing that on our next podcast. But yeah, if they're gonna be in the playoffs, it's because he's playing outstanding football, which definitely lands him in the Heisman conversation. For my number 3, I went with Jeremiah Smith, which again, that's above Julian saying, but again, kind of a popularity contest. People love Jeremiah Smith, and rightfully so. He's an outstanding player. Did have a bit of a drop spell last year. I remember him and Ryan Williams. It was both kind of like, what's going on? I mean, maybe it's the being on the cover of college football curse. Who knows? But I think he's going to have an outstanding season this year, and I think if he does, I think because of his popularity that people are gonna contribute it more to him being an outstanding player than Julian Sain being an outstanding quarterback. So that's why I got him in number 3.
Okay. I know we're going back and forth on this, but he didn't make my cut. He was on my list, just didn't make the top 5. I just assumed, man, and we all know what assuming does, but I assumed that, he had 87 receptions, 1,200 yards last year, which is outstanding. But I feel like, this is his 3rd year. I really feel like defenses in the Big Ten are going to be keying on him.
Yeah.
And as they should, and as they probably did last year, and he just showed him up. So, I mean, if he does show him up, he rightfully deserves the Heisman. But I just left him out, and instead I put my number 3 is Julian Sand.
Yeah.
77% completion last year on 391 attempts. That's crazy. 32 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. And it's like Jeremiah Smith's the better player. But like I just said, Heisman
It's a
quarterbacks, they
it's a
go
quarter
together.
it's a quarterback award. It's kinda like NFL MVP, it's
Yeah.
the MVPs for quarterbacks and then offensive player of the years for every other position. So you're right. You're right in saying that. Unfortunately.
Yeah. So I mean, Sain's my three. Smith's the better player, but if I'm making a list on who I think's going to be in the Heisman, it's going to be Sain over Smith.
Yeah, I got no problem with that. Like I said, I had Sane at 5, Smith at 3, but I think you could easily flip-flop those. Just putting together this list, I was trying not to be too quarterback biased, but you are right. It like you said, it's a quarterback award basically. I mean, for a running back or a wide receiver to win this award, it has to be truly just a phenomenal season. Um, so nothing wrong with that. My number 2, I mentioned earlier that I'm gonna bring him up, and here he is, Darian Mensah. I told you before we started that I kind of felt like I found a diamond in the rough. Like talking about, like I looked him up and I was like, dude, he was phenomenal last year at Duke. Like I think we mentioned threw for almost 4,000 yards, like 36 touchdowns or something, 34 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, something like that. Just a phenomenal guy, and I think him being in Miami with, again, Malachi Tony, some of those four-star receivers they brought in, the running backs coming back, he's just gonna have a slew of opportunity there, and playing in the ACC is gonna help him, he's gonna put up stats, so I got him finishing number 2.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna go ahead. I'll give my two and one, and then you can give us your one because Darian Mensah is my one, but I'll get to him shortly. Dante Moore, number two, 72% last year, 412 attempts, 3,500 yards, 30 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, and he's coming back. Dan Lanning's great coach. So you got a great coach, great quarterback. You got weapons around Moore. So I don't see any reason unless he shits the bed that he shouldn't be in the Heisman race because I expect him to put up better numbers than what he put up last year. And I think anytime you got a quarterback throwing over 70%, then you're just, you're in good hands. And so I'm expecting a lot from Dante Moore. So he's my two. And my one is Darren Mensah. I mean, like you said, dude, almost 4,000 yards, only 6 interceptions on 500 attempts,
That's insane.
dude. And that's a Duke. So you don't have a lot of weapons around you. Now he's at Miami. Now he has every weapon he could possibly want. So give me my Heisman favorite, Darian Mensah. I'm excited to see this guy play.
Yeah, again, I mean, I got him at number 2, and it's funny because I got Dante Moore at number 1.
Hey,
And and it kinda, again, I hate to say it, it's like a popularity contest, I think Dante Moore, he's playing at Oregon, he was a projected first round draft pick last year in the NFL, decides to come back, which again, I love. And I do expect him to be better. And I think if he's better than last year, it's hard to see him not winning the Heisman this year. I projected Oregon to win the Big Ten. Again, if that's true, then he's gonna be playing phenomenal. So I just think that he's maturing. I think he's gonna put up better stats than he did last year, and, yeah, ultimately, I think he takes it over Darian Mensah. I think they'll probably have similar statistics, but again, are you gonna put in the Duke transfer at Miami to win the Heisman, or are you gonna put in the Oregon quarterback that came back? You know what I'm saying? Like, I just feel like it's gonna favor Dante Moore over Darian Mensah, so that's
yeah.
why I got him taking the Heisman.
Alright, man, I respect that. So we were different 3 through 5, kind of, and then 1
Kinda.
to 2, just flip-flop?
Mhm.
Alright, brother. Well,
Yeah,
hey,
like
go ahead.
I was gonna say, like I said, it's kinda we all kinda know who's gonna be in it, and this is all predictions, like, college football is hard to predict because we just don't know a lot about these guys. I mean, like I said, Darian Mensah's on a brand new team. As good as he looked last year, I like that he's staying in the ACC, but we just don't know, and so, I don't think there's ever a right or wrong answer when you're trying to make these predictions. So I
Yeah,
like I think we did a pretty good take on all of it.
yeah. I'm a dude, I'm excited to see how the ACC Big 12 plays out, but then again, I'm kind of nervous because I'm like not confident in my list at all.
See,
So,
I think I'll be interested to see, obviously, if anybody's listening that doesn't know us personally, we all three of us, Worm's not here today, but we're all major Bama fans. And the reason why I'm interested in the ACC and Big 12 is because if for some reason they have two teams that get hot or three teams, the way I have Alabama possibly shaking out this season is like that could mean Bama misses the playoffs.
mm,
Maybe only four SEC teams make it. Maybe only three Big Ten. I think there's probably going to be four from Big Ten, four from SEC, but there's a good chance that if some of these teams catch fire, even though we don't respect their conferences as much, um, they could jump. We saw it happen 2 years ago when SMU jumped Alabama. It was like, and not that I felt like Alabama deserved to be in it, but if it comes down to Alabama or SMU, I mean, it's kinda hard to argue that SMU is the better football team, but we'll see. We'll see how it all shakes out.
yeah, speaking of playoffs, tomorrow, playoff predictions.
Yep, yep.
I'm excited.
Yeah, excited's a word. That's
I'm nervous.
yeah. It's again, this is all fun. I wish I had a dark horse team. I saw, yeah. I'll touch on that tomorrow, but yeah, I kind of wish I had a dark horse. I hate to just sort of go with the flow, but when you're trying to predict college football again, you don't know, and it's always just best to ride with the safe options. Your Ohio
Mhm.
States, your Georgia, it's like they're gonna be good. So, but yeah, it'll be fun.
All right, so that's all we got for today. Like I
Hell
said,
yeah,
playoff predictions tomorrow.
yeah. Tune in, baby. Peace out. Love y'all.
Pre-snap podcast.